Thank you, Karma. Karma here, this is her roadmap to success. And basically, when you have dogs that have separation anxiety, a lot of times those are kind of more clingy dogs, and that was certainly the case with her. The Guardians have done a lot of good work with her. They actually watched a lot of my videos before the session, so they had already started to provide her with structure. But I want to kind of go over her roadmap to success in this video. We went through some additional rules that we can incorporate. They already had taken away the furniture, and for dogs, the higher they sit, the more rank or status they have. So if we let dogs sit the same height as us, that's one of the ways we reinforce that we're equals. Now, I get a lot of people tell me, you don't want dogs on the furniture. My dogs are allowed on the furniture. If your dog listens to you, you don't have problems, that's okay. Yes, sit. We're gonna have to wait for these. But in this case, because it confuses her into thinking she has the same authority as her humans, that's contributing to stress because she thinks she needs to contribute to the group and protect her humans or contribute in some way. And she feels like she's in a responsibility position. I want her to feel like a child to a parent. I'm just here. I don't have to, I have rules that govern my behavior, but I have to worry about what's going on beyond the walls. All right, so another rule would be sitting at the door. I tell her to go to the door, and I tell the dog to sit. If she doesn't sit, I walk right away. Within about 3 to 5 seconds, I walk away, sit down, wait 1 minute, go back and tell her to sit again. Don't ask, tell her. She doesn't sit that time, I walk away for 2 minutes. Next time for 4 minutes. Next time for 8 minutes. As soon as she sits, sit, then I open the door like there's a remote control in her butt. Start with one direction and then go with both directions. She'd rather be outside, start with her inside so you have leverage. Eventually, you want to get to the point where we can not only have her sitting at the door to tell us I want to go outside, but then I would go and I put her on a leash, go to the door, and just when you reach for the door handle, she probably gets up. So pull your arm back, tell her to sit, then reach again. And just try to break down the door, going through the door in individual steps. The first step is just reaching for the handle. Next step is maybe unlocking the latch. Next step is actually pulling it just a crack so that maybe if we have a security alarm, it makes a beep. Next step is mow it all the way. And at any point she gets up, we stop, we close the door, put her back in a sit, and reset. What we're going to do is we're going to teach her the behavior we want. Once for each step, sit. There we go, sit. And we're going to practice that one step over and over until she's got it before we move on to the next step. The end result of this one is we should be able to go and open the door without her on the leash and have her sit there and wait till she goes outside. Now the way that I would give the dog a command word for this to go outside. So maybe we say yard. So the way we assign that is when we get to the point where she'll sit at the door, I have a treat with me. As soon as I open the door, I toss the treat out. She wants to go out anyways, but I just toss it right in front of her. Once she goes and gets it, I might say yard or out or whatever the word is. So now we're assigning this word specifically means you can go through the door. And eventually we get to the point, she is a bit of a door dasher. So we get to the door, we can go to the front door and open it wide, and she just sits there until she hears the word release or yard or freedom or whatever the word is. Now, the Guardian asked if she's practicing the back door, on the front door too. The backyard is fenced, and so that's the one she goes out the most. But when we do the front yard, we should definitely do that, and again, have her on a leash. Let's see what else. Other rules. She shouldn't be allowed to cross this line when the Guardians are at the dinner table. She already can't go in the kitchen, and there's a line between carpet and linoleum flooring. Also, same sort of thing with maybe getting ready for the run. She gets excited for that. Maybe we create a boundary outside the bedroom door, leave the door open. She has to stay outside while we change clothes. Things along those lines. So look for ways that we can have rules that provide her with a little bit of restraint so she feels like more of a subordinate, and also ways to delay gratification. You're playing fetch, sit. Wait for her to sit and be calm, then throw it. The Guardian noticed that when she comes home, now she lies down. And she's like ready to go. Now she's like, that's like a track position. Dog can lay down and be relaxed, but dog looks stiff and like it's coiled, ready to spring. That isn't the energy we're looking for. So just ignore the dog, walk away. Just go, do whatever your normal thing is when you come home from work. Put your tie on or off and put your keys down or whatever. And as soon as she kind of relaxes, then walk over to pet her. If she gets stiff again, walk away, or just continue doing it. Don't tell her no. Don't chastise her. What we need her to understand is as soon as you get excited, I'm not interested in petting you. When you're calm, I'll give you a lot of affection. And so we're rewarding the dog for being in a calm, balanced state of mind rather than doing it for this sort of thing. Now, if you're petting her and she starts to put her paw on your arm, stop petting her. If you're about to reach to pet her and she pulls her paw up, stop doing that. And don't do it when the paw gets up here. Do it when the paw is right here. Just when it starts moving off the floor, your timing is everything. The sooner you can correct or reward your dog, the better. My target would be 1/3 of a second. The maximum would be 3 seconds. And so make sure you're petting or rewarding your dog within that 3-second window. Say just the command word. Don't say good girl or good sit or who sat down, a version of the word, use just one word. I'd like the guardians to make a list of all the commands that the dog has and be consistent. If anyone says a different version, instead of saying come, they say come here, we say vocabulary. And that person says, come. So this way we put the dog in a position to succeed by making it easier for her to recognize the command words. Same thing with petting with a purpose, which we went over. Something you can search on doggoneproblems.com. Go click on the dog training tips page. On the right side or left side, you'll see a search box. You can type in escalating consequences. I'll have write-ups where I'll have a video that talks specifically about those. We're going to use the escalating consequences to disagree with unwanted behaviors, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, we're also going to pet with a purpose and do passive training. Also things you can search for on Doggone Problems. But the more we passively do passive training, it means petting her every time she sits. When she does it on her own, we don't tell her to sit, we just wait for her to do it. We're almost like narrating. So again, if the dog does that and we see that she's sitting next to somebody and we didn't recognize, you say, reward, sit. And when possible, pet the dog under its chin to facilitate a nose-up orientation. Avoid petting a dog on top of the head. Usually dogs do the opposite of what she just did. You can scratch your dog anywhere. We just don't want to tap on top of the head. Let me see. I want the guardians to get in the habit of walking through the dog rather than walking around the dog. And the escalating consequences and the walking is kind of an illustration of how energy is important for dogs. If I walk around the dog, I'm burning extra energy to go around the dog. So instead, we walk through and the dog learns, I need to burn the energy to get out of the human's way. The humans have more authority than I do. Same thing with following through. We tell her to sit, she doesn't sit, we're gonna get up and we're gonna follow her. As soon as she sits down, then we would stop, or if she doesn't, we're gonna keep on following her, closing doors behind us until she's got nowhere else to go, and then we work out the order sit. And when she sits, we walk away, we would reward at that point. But she needs to understand that listening is no longer optional, and if I don't sit, the human's gonna be willing to burn the energy to get up and follow through and get their way. If the humans can do that every day, do that for about 3 to 4 weeks, the dog will realize, I'm gonna start giving them what they want right away, because if I don't, they're gonna get their way anyways. I might as well just do it now, and then I can go back to doing what I wanna do as a dog. Let me see, so always following through and walking, and the burning energy example. Let me see what else. I went over a focus exercise. I'd like everyone in the family to do that at least once a day, but the more you do it, the faster the dog will learn. So if we can do it twice a day, that would be great. About 10 to 12 treats each time. At first it's 1 second, 1 second, and then eventually 1 second, 2 seconds. And not all 12 treats, so it's to be all 12 treats, 1 second, 1 second. And maybe the first 2 or 3 times you practice it, everybody's 1 second, 1 second. Then eventually we're gonna add 1 extra second, that second movement link, 1 second, 2 seconds. And eventually we're gonna get up to sit. We're gonna get to the point where it's like 1 second, 20 seconds. Focus. Remember, every time you give your dog a treat, it should go into their mouth first and then be immediately followed by the command word. We want to activate their pleasure receptors, so waiting for the treat to touch the lips first makes it even more of a positive experience. Let me see what else. Oh, the vet's office. We wanted to go over the vet's office. She is okay. She does better if she walks into a room and the people are already there. If she walks into a room and then the vet comes in, or she's at home and a guest comes in, that kind of stirs her up a little bit. Before I go there, for the kennel, make sure that the guardians are practicing the kennel exercise that I read in the very long video above. And once the dog is laying down, relaxed, start moving the kennel around and repeat the whole process in a different location. The first one I would do is this one, up to the point where I can leave the house with the door closed and she's calm. Then I would put it right here and do it in the middle of the living room. Then maybe move it over in front of the keyboard, and then by the kitchen, and then eventually maybe in the hallway, and then in one of the bedrooms. So we're going to do it in different locations so she's able to kind of generalize. Being in the kennels, no matter where the kennel is a good thing. Now, going back to what I was talking about earlier, she is comfortable if she's comes into a room where people are already there. When people have come into the room and she's in there, she has a problem with that. Now, for the vet's office, a couple things. If you had a puppy, take your puppy to the vet's office before they actually have to go in for shots or anything. When you go to the vet's office, they're sticking their finger up your rear end, they're checking your ears, it's very invasive. And a lot of dogs don't like it. So if you go into the office and just have a bunch of treats, have people give the dog a treat, nobody's touching me anywhere I don't want to be touched, it just means I went in there and a whole bunch of people showed me a lot of love and I got these really tasty treats. So if your vet's office is fairly close, if you have a dog with problems at the vet's office like this one does, you can go into your vet's office and just simply have that bunch of treats. Now the vet's office, the guardian and I were talking about this off camera, she's like, when they come in, she goes, you came in with treats, and she goes, when I go to the vet's office, they all kind of turn to the side. Turning aside is actually a good thing. Front facing is confrontational, eye contact is confrontational. The better thing to add to what the vet office is doing is they turn their head and yawn. It's called a calming signal. Dogs will do it to each other to say, hey, relax or calm down. So if we do that, that can actually be a way of helping them relax a little bit more. But what I would do for the vet's office is I would actually get a bunch of these high-value training treats. I would go and sit in the lobby, and this is after we've practiced and developed a strong focus. For the focus exercise, remember, we're doing it inside the house up to 20 seconds, and then we're going to do it on the deck with the access to the yard closed off, then in the yard, and we're doing it all over the place so the dog can distract even when the kids are playing in here or there's craziness going on. Then once that's the point, then we're going to go to the vet's office, and in the vet's waiting room, preferably with no other dogs there, we're going to practice that focus exercise. Maybe practice it, go 10, 12 times, then maybe have one of the vet techs come over and just give her a treat, ask her to sit, ask her to lay down. Make sure that she does something before she gets it. If she's really nervous, they can just give her a treat. But if she's nervous and they're petting her when she's nervous, we're reinforcing that nervous behavior. Yes, I'm talking about you. And so if a dog's nervous and you pet it, you're reinforcing it. If a dog's nervous, you can touch and let them know I'm here with you. But I'm not going to reinforce it. I just want to give you moral support. Dogs, when they're puppies, they can't regulate their body temperature, so they actually lay in dog piles to share warmth. And so they start to associate touch as a form of affection. Now, bully breeds, which I think she has a little bit of bully breed in her, are very physical with each other, which is why we don't want to shove her or those sort of things will usually send the opposite message. We mean go away, and they mean, oh, you want to play? I'll come back and do it again. So instead we use the second or the third consequence, or even the first if we know she's going to do it, and disagree. One other thing, I'm all over the place, but the guardians notice that sometimes she will rub her side on the couch. Dogs mark in 3 ways. Male dog and some females will pee on things. Second way of doing it is scent marking. It looks like they're rubbing their shoulder on something. Or if they're rubbing the back, if they have a bone and they lay on it and they scratch it, but it's right between their shoulder blades, they have an oil gland there, so they're really making the toy smell like them. Third way is a lot of profuse licking, which this is different. This is just I want the treat. But if you notice your dog doing that, you have to disagree right away because that's a leadership thing. I'm going to claim this as mine. We need to take all leadership away from her so that she doesn't feel the burden of responsibility, right? So when you go in the office, just go into the vet's clinic, keep it relatively short, 5-10 minutes, do the focus exercise, and if they're not busy, vet techs they love animals. And so they're usually happy to come over. If you can show them the focus exercise, that'd be even better. But that might be something we have to do the second trip or the third trip. So just ask them to sit. When she sits, we give her a treat and say the word sit. Don't say good dog, good girl, just as it goes in the mouth, say the word sit. If she comes, she lays down, pet her and say chill, crash, down, whatever your command is. Just one word commands only. Eventually if you can, if they'll let you go into one of the exam rooms, go sit in the exam room, use those as a chair, practice the focus exercise there. If I can lower the table, ask her to get up on the table, lay down, give her a couple treats, and then leave. So this way we create positive associations with her. If they're closed for like lunch or something and they're accommodatable, maybe you get a bully stick or a marrow bone and go in one of the exam rooms and give her one of those, or have it better yet waiting there, and she goes in there and gets to chew on that for 20 minutes while nobody else is in there, again creating a positive association. Now the vet clinic can continue doing things like having the vet in the office, but that's kind of inconvenient for the vet clinic. There's a technique called counter conditioning that we can also use. I'm using the high value tricky trainer treats. These are soft, these are essentially chicken liver. They look like a little barrel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze it so it's now less like a pancake. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let her chew on it. Now she's got a nice soft mouth, which makes this easier. She's got 2 parts of it, 3 parts, and the 4th part. So I can actually control where she looks when I do this by simply moving the treat. You get her look up or down. So what I would do is put her in a sit and have the vet out of the office, and maybe have him cough outside right before he's going to come in the door. So before he coughs, you pull out one of these treats, you're delivering the treat before, and then the door opens while you're delivering the treat. Now, you might have to break this down even further, where we open, we're doing this, and the door opens, but there's nobody outside the door, just the door opens. Maybe you're opening it from the side, so the dog just sees the door opening, but nobody there. And we do this until the dog, now if the dog stops taking the treat or gets up, then it's startled and it's too intense for the dog. So move as far away as the room will allow, and they might just open the door just a crack, and eventually an inch, and then several inches, and then the whole time she's staring at the door. Now when I'm doing this, I'm holding it in this orientation. So I have the treat in these 2 fingers and these 3 fingers down, so I'm not blocking. A lot of people I see they do it, they're holding it like this, they're blocking the dog's line of sight. So I'll hold it here, make sure she's looking at the door. Eventually you get to the point where you can do this and the door opens and the vet's standing there. And then you're doing this treat, and as soon as the treat's about to disappear, cough or come up with a signal, as soon as you cough, they close the door. He doesn't even come in the room. So what we're doing is we're delivering the treat first, then a stimulus happens. In this case, the door opens, the vet is present, but he doesn't come in, and I'm getting it while the treat is there, and then right before the treat's about to disappear, you cough, he closes the door, and then the treat disappears. So the only time the treat is there is when people are approaching me. And so as soon as they go away, the treat goes away. And that's kind of what she wants now. She wants them to go away. So we're flipping the script. So when they're coming, you're getting the highest value treat, and they're going away, the treat disappears. Eventually, you can do the same thing as the vet comes in the office. Now, if you have a vet that's really amicable, you can give him a bunch of high value treats. Be sitting with her on the opposite side of the room on a leash, have him come in, no eye contact, and just have him come in, maybe take 2 steps or 3 steps, not too close to you, then drop a treat on the floor, turn around, take 1 step towards the door, drop another treat, take another step out the door, drop another treat, and then leave. And then when it closes the door, then you can come and lead her to those treats. This is a little bit different than the counter conditioning, because we're doing an inverted order here. But again, we're creating a positive association. When the doctor comes in and walks in the room, treats literally fall from the sky, or from the vet in this case. But this way, the dog starts to build up a positive association. So the more time, try to make it where you go in there for every vet visit, a real vet visit, maybe there's like 5 or 10 faux visits where she gets positive reinforcement and good things. And if she gets nice and relaxed, you can go and feed her in one of the exam rooms. You know, do a lot of things that the more time you spend there in a relaxed, non-invasive setting, and we create some positive associations, the better she's going to be with it. All right, feeding. Make sure that we're feeding her before the humans eat, after the humans eat. That would be bad. Not bad, but it's not the order that we want to do. We want her to eat something first. Now, if we're not going to eat breakfast, maybe we come down, we put food in her bowl, don't let her eat it. Eat a bite or two of, at least 5 bites of a chip or a cracker or something. And when you're ready, give her permission to eat. I say grub, chow, and feast for my 3 dogs. Each dog has a unique word. So maybe when she takes her first bite, we say chow. And after doing that for about 2 months, this is passive training, but after about 2 months, you say chow, she knows that's a release word. I can go get that food. And so this way we're adding a little bit of structure to something that she's going to do every day anyways. It creates a positive association. This is why petting with a purpose works so well, because we're going to pet our dogs hundreds of times throughout the day. If we just add a tiny bit of structure, it's like a mini dog obedience training session that we do without even thinking about it. All right, this is a rather long roadmap to success, so we're going to call it right here. Now, if the guardian has anything that I forgot to go over, she has any questions, she can certainly give me a call. Texting me will be by far, I have one word for you, the fastest way to reach me. Especially if I'm in LA or on the road, phone calls are hard for me. So just shoot me a text. I don't care if it's 6 minutes from the time I leave the door, or if it's 6 years from now, make sure you let me know. All right, Karma, sit. This is Karma's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.